docket.
Kabisa.
Hey, manzi. A lot of people will anticipate the docket,
Yeah.
From around the world.
Your desire.
Everybody's tuned in to listen to what's the topic of discussion.
Kabisa.
In the studio, as always, Philip Mruto's in the house.
Yes.
Fanya Mambo Kinuthia
Kabisa.
has showed up with all his elements. The saga continues.
Yes.
Gachagua, day whatever. It looks like he's gotten some reprieve.
But he's been getting reprieve since Senate happened. Because we've seen him sustain this war unexpectedly.
Yeah.
For all, this is the third week since Parliament.
Imagine.
Yeah. He's been cutting himself some lifeline somehow. But today is today.
Ati today is leo ni leo.
Masema kesho
Ni muongo.
Today is today because we expect to see what the three-judge bench will, the hearing begins today. For the substantive, I think that is what they say.
Yes.
The substantive matter.
Correct.
Begins today. We have been hearing the petitions after petitions, but the judges stayed put. They were not wavered by all those dirty linen in public that was played by the defense last week.
Na kizungu
mingi. Mtu akasema hiyo koti ilikuwa worth a lot of money. It is a very expensive courtroom, worth billions of shillings.
Yeah.
But most importantly, we wait to see what the three-judge bench will say today about the conservatory order. And then, Gachagua is also at the same time at the Court of Appeal. Appellate Judge Musinga is supposed to put up to empanel a bench for the same appeal. So two major events in the corridors of justice
simultaneously.
With regards to Gachagua's but the empanelment, the mentioning will be on I think Wednesday. Is it tomorrow for the appeal case,
Yes.
Gachagua's appeal case.
Yeah.
So pending that, today's hearing proceeds. We wait to see what the three judges will say. We have seen the arguments already. We have tested the arguments. So I'm almost convinced that something will give today.
Panyamambo, why do you think his security or parts security was reinstated?
I've always said giving these VIP people security sometimes is not a choice. You have to do it as a country. I mean, the world over, common sense dictates that former presidents, former deputy presidents are given security. And the reason they are given security is because with them they carry a lot of state secrets. I've always told people, you leave Gachagua carelessly. If Al-Shabaab, God forbid, was to abduct him and take him in a room, wanamchoma na sigara, wanamuliza vifaru ni ngapi? Ziko wapi? Nisakana gani? Tudege ni tuaina gani?
Atufanyi.
He's privy to a lot of serious state security information that you cannot leave him like that. Secondly, people have been talking about Mlima. I am very cautious because he's getting a lot of sympathy and support from Mlima. If a person who is not using their brain right was to take away his life by way of a bullet, that would cause havoc in the country. It would cause a lot of mayhem and probably lead even to loss of more lives and property and destruction. So you're better off providing him with security, not because you like him, but it's because it's the obligation of a right-thinking state. Sometimes we feel, sometimes ask, do we have a right-thinking state? Because a right-thinking state will provide security to anybody who has held that position for their lifetime. Because this is protection of the state. It's not Gachagua's protection. I have told you he's privy to a lot of intelligence information. That is what you need to guard and protect. And I highly suspect that advice must have come either from the army, on the NIS, or the DCI, people who understand why it is that we protect these VIPs. It's not because we want. It's an obligation. It's a duty of the state.
By the time this decision to take away his security was being made, right? Where were these
advisors?
Yeah, when he was in Karen Hospital.
Yes. Where were they?
But the one being advised is never advised.
That is the problem. That could be a problem. Maybe he was advised,
yes,
but he takes too long to load the information. That be as it may. I also want to entertain the thought that there could be a possibility of an administration that is now entertaining the what if moment, you know. This is someone who they thought in the very week he was impeached, he would be out and a new DP would be sworn in. The 1 week went, we went into the second, and now doing the third, and they are thinking, supposing this is prolonged, and now that the corridors of justice are not so predictable, I want to imagine that is where they are now, right now, because if they were predictable, maybe things would have gone the way they expected them to go. They have not gone the way they expected them to go. It is taking quite some time to dispense of the Gachagua matter. So what if we are likely to have this guy around for a while? The only other question that maybe we should find out is after security arresting, after them arresting a few of the security officers and some vehicles to him, his office was destabilized by the staff being sent on compulsory leave. I know that matter is also before the courts. They have been ordered to attach the contracts of all 108 employees to the matter. That is also in court. But has the office also been facilitated? Maybe that is what we should be looking to find out, whether the office has also been facilitated properly, so that he can go to annex and transact business as a deputy president, although impeached. I don't know if he still can step into that office and transact business.
I was wondering about that.
But
actually,
that is I was just giving another thought, apart from him being a very significant secret holder in the state, that the government and the systems that the power that be may be experiencing the what ifs moment at this point in time.
You know, Vanyamamo, it goes back to this Kenya Kwanza administration. Do they not think through these things?
They do and then think. Most of the time. Do first, then you think about it.
Later.
Deal with the consequences. There is this Kikuyu saying, Kenya katazaliwa tutanyonyesha.
Hata yasema na Kikuyu. Inasemanga
Kenya kego shiarone to kuogelea. So, then you just go to bed. Then the child is born. And then whatever is born, you breastfeed. Hata kama katazaliwa na vichwa mbili ama tatu,
utafute maziwa.
So that is a wrong kind of thinking on the part of government. I told you they had not thought through and through. Because if they had taken time to think about this impeachment and not use some of the advisors that they are using today, because some of the advisors they are using today should not be able to advise even a cattle dip manager. You look at them and you wonder, if this is the person who is giving them advice, then this administration is moribund. I mean, some of the tweets I have seen from some of those people who have really fattened after they started advising this government. You look at those tweets and you look at the person, and you know, some fattening also tells that you are stupid. You look at some of these people and you wonder, if these are the people who are advising government, then this government can only be held bound. So I think from where I sit, we just need help as a country. And the first thing is, the people at the top there,
if someone else is sworn in, then his holding on may not be, will not make sense. But if he can sustain this battle until the 14 days elapse, and then we start looking at a constitutional crisis, as the legal minds call it, then he may just be here for a little longer before something else is done. Because I don't think, like we said here the other Tuesday, whatever is left between Gachagua and this administration is, in fact, is unnoticeable, because he spoiled everything. Right now, you heard what he said on Sunday, that Kenyans are miserable. I don't know if you are miserable, but he spoke on behalf of Kenyans that Kenyans are miserable.
We are all miserable.
Yes, over taxation, and the health sector is in crisis, and all these things. This is still the administration that he's supposed to, if he hangs on, he's supposed to pull along with.
But he told us to all pray for President Ruto.
Well, of course, prayers, we will always pray, but it depends with whatever is contained in your prayers. Could be you're praying that tomorrow Ruto goes. We don't know.
That's what Boniface
when-
Mwangi.
when-
That's what Boniface Mwangi was hoping for.
When you speak about prayer, have you ever noticed that 80% of the prayer requests in this country are things that if a sensible government did, I think even our pastors would go broke. I mean, some people are going to church to pray for school fees.
Yeah.
Some people are going to church to pray for money to pay a hospital bill. If we had a responsible government working and doing the right thing and doing it the way it's supposed to do, right now we would not be talking of some of those prayer requests. So I think, again, it goes back to governance. Get things right. Fix things properly. Get these people working. Then you don't need all those prayer requests. The reason now they are impeaching one another, I mean, I thought that once they impeach Gachagua, all of a sudden the economy will turn around, things will be happy, schools will work, and HIF will work. Nothing is working. So if they thought Gachagua was their problem, he's out of the way right now, and they are in bigger doldrums than they ever were.
Yeah.
So they have an administration problem. We are almost in a constitutional crisis because this administration, I can tell you, 14 days, the constitution is very clear. From 14 days from the day the president appoints a DP, he's supposed to be sworn in. And I don't see him being sworn in, and I'll tell you why. And it will definitely be a constitutional crisis. When we had BBI, I remember the then deputy president, now President William Ruto, celebrating the decision on BBI. And the courts were very clear. They said what it means to have IEBC duly constituted. And they said that IEBC is duly constituted when the commissioners, the chairman, and all those people are there. And therefore, it was not possible for them to have led us through the BBI process because IEBC was not duly constituted. As we speak today, that decision holds. It's never been overturned. So we do not have a duly constituted IEBC. And IEBC plays a part in the selection of the deputy president. If today Kindiki was to be sworn in, that would be an affront to the constitution. It would be an insult to the laws of this country. So therefore, they cannot swear in Kindiki. They can't. They would have to look for another person. If they do it, then that is by force, that is by fiat, that is by an insult to the law. And I thank God because now the law is going to force them to constitute IEBC if they want to have a DP who is duly elected. And I'm praying that the court pronounces itself on the IEBC issues and says that IEBC has a role to play in the selection of a deputy president. Because once they do that, then it means President William Ruto and his brigade have got nothing to do than to go and constitute IEBC. It is our constitutional right as a country to have IEBC. Right now, we are supposed to be registering the people who are just turned 18 and above. There are so many of them. And this government appears not to want them to have voters' cards. That's why they are not constituting IEBC.
But is that deliberate?
IEBC, yes, it's deliberate. I mean, we have been told of 1.5 billion being spent to impeach a deputy president. IEBC was looking for about 800 million for voter registration. Half of that amount of money. So we would have had money to, in fact, register people twice. But we spent it on impeaching one person. It's a horrible place to be.
And I also think sometimes I tend to imagine they may have messed up a lot of things at IEBC in terms of whatever has been allocated year in, year out since we last had commissioners in that office. That if we happen to constitute IEBC today and they went into office today, I remember there's a time we had rumors of some 50B that had been allocated to IEBC that was not at IEBC anymore, that had been recalled to some other users,
and it disappeared.
Yes, those are stories that may be making it difficult for someone to say, let them go in now. A lot of things happen that if you came to know the truth, then you will understand why some things people would rather go around in circles than take whatever steps that are needed to be taken for things to move forward, like constituting the IEBC. And now we are staring at a constitutional crisis, courtesy of those that are still reluctant to do the right thing. Just initiate this and make it happen.
Yeah. Panyamumba, you're a lawyer.
Yes.
Tell us, going forward, what should we expect from this Gachagua?
Now, unfortunately,
episodes?
from where we sit, only the courts can move us to the next step. Nothing else. No politician, nothing. So we're at that point where now we shall all be glued to our TVs to watch the drama in court. And we just await from the courts, because those are the people who will decide how this. But I'm praying that they follow the law. And if they follow the law, then I know Kindiki will not be sworn in. And if they follow the law, I know that they will declare the issues. They'll pronounce themselves on IEBC. Those are the main issues. And then they will decide whether Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua was duly impeached or not. But I think from where we sit, the most critical thing is the pronouncement on IEBC, because that affects the whole country.
The fact that he was impeached, does it still mean he cannot run for office for another 10 years?
Now, again, the court can interpret that. You see, if he was able to go to court and say that what happened in Parliament and Senate was the theater of the absurd, as he had called it, and he was able to prove that they didn't get into the real issues, and of course there's that time when he fell sick and went to hospital, but they still continued in his absence. So such things the court can come and say, to this extent, we think he was not impeached properly. If the court was to say that...
He was not impeached
yes,
properly.
Yeah, if the court was to say... it's one thing to impeach, but it's another one to impeach properly. I told you the other day of someone who starts a trial for you today and then calls the hangman and tells him on Friday you are going to hang someone. And that person is being tried. You've already decided that the person we are trying, we are going to hang on Friday. So if he made that very clear in court, and the court was to pronounce itself on it, then they might give him a lifeline. But Gachagua, with a lifeline or without a lifeline, is going to be a thorn in the flesh of this administration for the next 3 years. That I can assure you.
You agree, Murutu?
I do agree very much. I've told you of a story of the Kinakalonzos that are already, they're like vultures. Interested parties are so many in the Murima. Yes. And therefore, at any given opportunity, they will exploit whatever chance they get to make a point Parliament money. And they will go sympathizing with, empathizing and sympathizing with Gachagua. That is the entry point into Murima. Again, in the courts, in the corridors of justice, I think the court, the defense lawyers have advanced the issue about the rights of Gachagua being violated. This is someone, if the courts hold what Parliament and Senate did, his political career life is done for the next 10 years, I think with that, they may want to accord him an year on the basis of the proof and evidence in as much as we have been treated to the threats of the courts only they will only consider the process and stuff like that. But I think we are getting into a scenario where they will want to give him a chance to prove that this is what they said. What are you saying? What is the evidence that dispels whatever it is that they say you did? So they will accord him that opportunity. If that happens, then he may hang around for a while. But like I said, I still hold to the fact kwamba immediately after they clear him, I doubt Gachagua will hang around this administration. Maybe he will be the first DP to resign after the frustrations, just immediately after they clear him. That is what I still hold on to.
Yeah, Fanya Mambo, you're the one who called it about 3 weeks ago. You said he should have resigned before they impeached him. Then we wouldn't be where we are today.
Legally, that is what he should have done. He should have resigned before the impeachment.
Yeah.
And now the impeachment has happened, and he's fighting in courts. If he wins in court, he shouldn't resign now. What for? Stay there and be a rogue DP and disturb your boss.
A rogue DP?
Yeah,
just like Ruto to his
just
boss.
like Ruto was to Uhuru. Only that Uhuru was more accommodating. He was more loving. Uhuru was a gentleman. I mean, I don't think the current president would stand that. But he just needs to stay there. If I was Gachagua and the court gives me a lifeline, I would just change those deputy presidential vehicles and put a lot of speakers on them. Then I would spend all my time in the markets
making noise all over the country and campaigning for 2027 and
The same way Ruto did.
yes, just saying, in fact mimi hata sitangoja hiyo ingine, walijaribu kuni-impeach, sasa ni twende and you go all the way the long haul and
Yes.
campaign properly using state resources. Now you have state GSU, everything, hata ile media coverage unapata UN deputy president. Campaign for 3 years and see what that leads you. It might earn you either the presidential seat or a deputy president under somebody else. I've already heard Ukambani, they're calling themselves Mount Kenya South. Yeah, they came, we went to a function somewhere and they said the mountain has not reduced. In fact, it has increased. Now Ukambani is called Mount Kenya South. So it's, just hanging there and trying to see if you can get this vote rich basket.
Yeah. Like Morutu says, they're vultures.
These are vultures. They're just
Scavengers.
they're scavenging for those hanging fruits. Yeah.
Low hanging.
Yes.
But if it has to make sense for Gachagua, it would be interesting to know whether he's still transacting anything in his stature as the impeached deputy president. Now that they have recognized he's still an office holder, they have accorded him security and they have accorded him some vehicles. And I'm thinking if some accounts had been frozen, the loot that enters the office to run things there, maybe some have been released to him. It would be interesting to know. But you see, with the matter in court now and the judge requiring that the employees file their contracts, I doubt he may have the manpower to even move anything if he desired to. We wait to see what the courts will say about that tomorrow. I think the matter should be is coming up for mention tomorrow about the employees. As that is happening, we know the Honorable, I saw them accepting that that is a crisis. The Gachagua matter is a crisis. I saw the minority leader, the latest minority leader in the National Assembly,
The latest.
Junet Mohammed, admitting that it is a crisis. Because they said, we now want to go and start afresh. We do not want this crisis again. We have had enough of the finance bill crisis. We had enough of the finance bill, and now we have had enough of Gachagua. So they admit it is a crisis. It has not gone the way they had anticipated or the way they would have wanted it to go. So they are there maybe synergizing or strategizing as the House leadership in Nakuru. They'll be there up to tomorrow, I think. Then they because they are on a short recess. That goes to tell you if someone of the stature of Junet Mohammed can describe it as a crisis, then things have not gone the way they imagined would have gone. They are also crossing their fingers, even as courts open their doors this morning for the very, very hearing.
Does the mountain remain firm, Fanyamambo? Or is it crumbling?
There's a lot of war songs being sung in Mount Kenya. If you listen, everybody now, they have chosen, I think, a new DJ who is only selecting Mau Mau songs, war songs, circumcision songs.
Right.
I've not had Mwazani Agosho.
There's no Kirosho.
I have not had Kirosho in a long while. I am just seeing people with flags. I am seeing people singing war songs. I'm seeing people singing circumcision songs. It tells you the clouds are gathering, and they are gathering in a way that is not very interesting. The administration should be careful. But also, I think something serious is happening. People had started very funny rumors about President Uhuru Kenyatta and a lot of rubbish.
And then we saw him on
And
the air.
this guy just has a birthday. He has done nothing. And he's just a phone call. In fact, it's the media houses that called him. And after that phone call, the whole country is so excited about Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta and asking when is he coming. Actually, he needs to come during the day and he needs to announce when he's coming. Because that would be a public holiday. As people pick him from the airport and bring him. Afanye tu mkutano Kasarani aseme it's a belated birthday and they should have a big cake he comes and cuts. Uone vile Kasarani itaja. The mountain is thirsty for Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. The mountain is asking for him. The mountain is recognizing his kingship. The mountain is making apologies for the mistakes they made. And that tells you they are crying for a unifying factor. It tells you, because now they've looked and said, Vava Itone Uhuru, and they want him, and they are thirsty for him, and they are calling. In fact, they're asking when he's coming back. Yet this guy has done nothing. You know, they used to blame him for everything that happened in this administration. Everything. Yeah. Even when the rain doesn't come, they used to say he's causing it not to rain. Now he left the country and stayed in the US for a long time, which I think was a very wise decision. And now people have realized that he was not the one who was funding Maandamano. He did nothing wrong to this country after he left. And now they thirst for him and they yearn for him and they want him back. So where is the mountain? The mountain is behind Uhuru. Where is Uhuru? He's wondering, hiya, why are these people coming back to me? What do they want from me? Why are they calling me? They're even doing for me a bad. But have you ever seen a politician in this country, including the current president, mwenye anafanyiwa birthday without his consent?
No.
And this is happening now. This is the third year it's happening. Uhuru just sits at home and people are cutting cakes in markets all over the place and saying it's Uhuru's birthday and celebrating. That has not happened to any politician.
Including Kalonzo.
Yeah, I wish I was Uhuru. Yani unakaa hivi watu wanafanya birthday yako na hujawaambia na hata wanakuinvite. This is amazing. Even in a market, and people are buying a cake from their money.
Yeah.
You know, this is crazy.
Na hayuko.
This is a lot of love.
Na hayuko.
I wish I was loved like that. Hauko, uko usijui ngambo, uko wapi, and people buy a cake using their money and organize a birthday using their money.
For you.
Yes, and televise and share on their social media. And it's crazy. You saw the meeting that happened in Kiambu.
Yes.
And the stadium was full. There was no space to even spit. And these people had come for Uhuru's birthday. So it's an interesting place to be. So the mountain is right behind Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, and that worries Gachagua deeply, because he's like, yani mimi ndio niko hapa na campaign kila siku napiga kelele natukana Ruto, lakini nyinyi mko na mtu mwenye hata hajisumbui na nyinyi. It's a very special place.
It's a truth for men.
I also agree that it was well calculated, because you remember from the time Gachagua began saying he has apologized. From when he began saying he's going to apologize, he apologized, he has continued to apologize. But all this while, the person being apologized to, or the family being apologized to, none of them has ever shown their faces in public to say, or even in some church, kwa bahati mbaya tu, they slip in the speech and say, we know someone has apologized, we accept the apology or something. You know, nothing.
No acknowledgement.
No acknowledgement. And that, according to me, that is strategic. Gachagua remains guessing on where he stands insofar as this is concerned. But I think the damage he did was so much that before you acknowledge such an apology, you have to think really yes. And then I also saw something else. You know, this guy called Maina Njenga had been missing in action for a while.
Yes,
I saw him resurface. So for the mountain, they may have Guzad Murima, and they have activated some volcanic activities there that only time will tell whether the eruption will happen soon or later. That is where we wait to see when the eruption will happen in the mountain.
At the same time, we still have to always come back to Baba. He's been very quiet and conspicuously absent.
I don't think it's correct to say he's been quiet. He was talking about Wetangula the other day, and he said, he said this Wetangula he has to resign from Ford Kenya. You cannot be the Speaker of the National Assembly and be bipartisan. You have to be. So what is going to happen is, now Wetangula is next on the cross. You see, now the cross is empty and somebody has to be crucified. As long as Kenya Kwanza is in the administration, they have to keep crucifying someone. So, and they miss the blood. Now they want to see Wetangula on the cross. And I can tell you where that is heading is this person is about to lose the speaker's seat. When you hear him being told that he, and they even compared with the Parliament of the UK, they started saying the speaker cannot be on this side or this side.
Right.
You cannot be a party leader. You cannot be a divisive person. You cannot be taking sides. Yes, they needed him to impeach Gachagua. Now they are done with his services. It's time now to impeach him as the Speaker of the National Assembly. So he's headed for a very rough time ahead. said, I can tell you. When you hear that coming from Baba himself, he didn't even send one of his lieutenants.
Yeah.
It was Baba himself addressing the person of Wetangula and actually mentioning him and mentioning Ford Kenya. So, Papa wa Roma, prepare kichwa chako, wanza kuweka maji moto, uko karibu kunyolewa.
You know, they have tried to dismiss, his foot soldiers have tried to dismiss the talk.
Yeah.
But it is so eminent. It is so eminent that anyone reasonable in the Kenyan political space can say that. This impeachment process and any other thing they have used Wetangula to execute, I think that is what they will use against him. There are people who will go argue that, and you know, I can say he's been, in quotes, a bit careless because on Saturday he was with those that had gone to Tarakaniti and he was talking about loyalty and all that. I don't know if the loyalty saying and phrases were meant to send a message to those that want to dislodge him or what, but he talked about loyalty and the benefits of being loyal. But you see, you are going there to advance an agenda that, in the first place, you are supposed to be a neutral arbiter. And that is why I'm saying this will come to be used against him. People will give illustrations of what happened in Parliament, in this instance of Gachagua, and any other, maybe finance bill, anything that has gone through Parliament and that was not acceptable to Kenyans, majority of Kenyans, is what will come to be used against Wetangula in terms of substantiating how he was not a neutral arbiter. But again, there's this talk about him folding and not folding Ford Kenya to recognize that he needs to be in one house with the Kenya Kwanza UDA party. Madivide was approached, he did what he did. I hear he's reluctant to fold Ford Kenya, and that may be, like you say, like Fanyamambo says, Baba mentioned that is where they will begin the conversation. Everyone fold. We are going to get to the point where they will now tell amongst themselves, they will tell them, the constituent parties, we need you people to fold. Let us compete against every other party out there, but for us in Kenya Kwanza, we need to fold and speak in one voice, and that is where the discord will be pronounced.
Will Baba fold his ODM?
Baba is not in Kenya Kwanza.
Lakini yako ndani.
Baba is in Kenya Kwanza, but as an amphibian. They are there as frogs. They're in water and they're on land. And that amphibian nature, we have always said, is unhealthy. Because you cannot say that it is my ministers individually who are in government, I'm not in government. And then you come and defend Adani. He's in government. Let's not... but what they want is one-party state. You know, they were used to Kanu, Moi era, politics of one-party state. Just fold everything. Come and join this yellow wheelbarrow party. And I think that's where the make or break is going to happen. Because I don't know, but there's no way Baba is going to fold ODM. So they are going to force all the others to fold their parties, but they are not going to force to fold ODM. And I told you, when ODM is leaving this administration, because they will leave, they are going to leave with more people than they came with. And they are going to leave this as a wounded administration. So it's good to be careful. But I was looking at today's paper, and I'm seeing whether the university dons have gone on strike as at midnight. Effective 12:01, they are not teaching.
Correct.
So that's another crisis that this administration has to deal with. Much as they were talking of crisis here and there. And by the way, I would want to see how much they are asking for, because it's probably less than the 1.5 billion that was spent to impeach the DP. So anyway, that's where we are. And there's this you remember the priest, Father CK, who became very controversial after talking about politicians who steal money, and they never leave their families happy. I think his prophecy is coming true, because when you look at today's Nation page 1, he's talking about the Moi kin battling over 300 billion empire. Why are they fighting? It's because of the same thing that priest was saying. When you steal public resources as a politician, and these people should now learn from the Moi family, eventually it comes to bite you and your children.